What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Talking Niners podcast, part of the Blue Wire Hustle Network. I am your host, Kobe Ransom, and the Niners had some football on the field recently, and we're here to talk about it. Joining me, as always, Niner Wire Sam. Sam, what's going on?
What's going on, man? Finally get some football on the field, as you just said. Looking forward to talk to it, man. I mean, we haven't seen football on the field since, what was it, December, January, whenever we played the Seahawks in week 17.
First week of January.
Yeah, first week of January. I'm hyped to talk about it, man. We're back.
Yeah, we finally saw gold helmets on a grass field, and it wasn't something from the last season. So,
gold helmets on a grass field in California.
Yes.
Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Oh, yes. In California for the first time in how long?
We haven't played in the last game we played in California was against the Rams, so that would be November. And that was, by the way, that was at the Rams. The home game was what? Week 10? I don't even know. No, week 9 against the Packers.
It was the Packers.
So that was the first week in November. That's the last time we had something going on in Santa Clara, California. We're back, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, we're back at Levi's, baby. It's been a long time coming. But all right, so a little nice thing we got here with the schedule. Basketball playoffs, NBA playoffs, we got the play-ins today and tomorrow. And I think 2 days after that. The playoffs start May 22nd and July 22nd, and then training camp, rookies report July 21st. So we have the NBA playoffs that carry us right into NFL training camp, which to me is fantastic. Couldn't ask for anything better than that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it works out. The schedule works out perfectly just with NBA and NFL because you have this year especially the NBA playoffs just, as you said, runs to that. Then you got football back. Yep. And then once football's over I think it's mid-February this year, not early February because of the extra week. Then you got basketball, you got the All-Star game, you got all of that. Yep. Then you got the playoffs, and before you know it, we're back to football while baseball's going on as well. It works out perfectly.
I think we'll be fine going forward. Last year we had COVID hit, and there was no sports for like 3 months, and it was like, God, this is really bad.
And the only day where no sports are going on, they have the ESPY Awards. So it works out perfectly.
Hey, we're back, baby. We are
exactly. Back. Let's do it.
All right. Rookie mini camp. We'll start with Trey Lance. He was the main event. I think, the other rookies had some chance to talk too. We saw Ambry Thomas talk about he'll let his play to the talking, in terms of as far as I almost said South Carolina, California prices of things out there. It's expensive state. We know that. But yeah, there's a couple of quotes, nothing really too crazy. But Trey Lance, we know he is the man of the hour. Every single interaction, every single video clip, everything that he does. I mean, the people were mad he wore a Dodgers hat.
Yeah,
everything
it's weird
he does,
like that.
Everything he does is going to be magnified because he is the face of the future. But he had a couple of quotes in his presser before the rookie training camp, the first day, the only day that was open to the media. And one of the questions were about the playbook, and he's like, "Yeah, it's the NFL playbook. It's a lot to learn, but." He basically confirmed that North Dakota State did help a lot with the way that they did the verbiage and the concepts. So he kind of just confirmed there that that has helped, in the process of him learning the playbook. And also when I asked him, what's it like to put, the jersey on for the first time, the practice jersey, he was like, hey, it was thrilling during the draft, but now it's work, and he sounds like he's ready to go. He's putting in the work, and this is what you want to hear. He sounds super professional, mature for his age. Just turned 21. I'm older than him. Was to me first player I'm ever older than in my life.
No, you're just old in general, man.
Yeah, I'm old.
At this point, you're a dad.
Yeah, yeah, I'm just an old man now. But yeah, like Trey Lance, so far, passing with flying colors as far as like talking and just this overall just perception of him going in. It sounds like a great guy, and I think people are super excited.
Yeah, I mean, this is the reason why the 49ers drafted him. You want to bring a good guy into the locker room, enter Trey Lance. Apparently, he was being blown away by everyone there. Interview process, everything. I mean, everything just worked out for him. That's why he's a 49er day, and that's why everyone's so excited to see him. And I think from what you've heard of him, it's just looked so good in camp. And we'll talk about the quarterback competition later, but he's making a real case for himself to be that week 1 starter. I think it could work out really well for him. And I mean, in the end, I'm just really glad we got him. I think we hit the nail on the head with this. I think it works out perfectly.
Yeah, I mean, hey, if Shanahan loves him, we love him. And I think that's the simple way
Exactly.
to put it. I mean, at least we hope we love him. But yeah, now getting onto the field, I think he threw 24 passes. It was mostly, at least in the day that we saw, it was mostly screens and check downs to the running backs. Only receiver out there was, well, there was two. Marquis Lee, who got signed. Was it today or yesterday?
He got signed yesterday.
Yeah. So yeah, yesterday. And Austin Watkins was out there. Only rookie receiver, that we brought in. So he was tossing to them. It just felt good to see him on the field. To see him donning the gold helmet, see him in the black and red practice jersey. Yeah, it just felt good to see him out there. And obviously, you couldn't look at that and not have a smile on your face.
Yeah, I mean, everyone, you're always just happy to see these guys out there. I think especially, I mean, Trey Lance, obviously, Trey Sermon, everyone's hyping up. I mean, these guys, you see, when you hear them get drafted, they're not necessarily 49ers yet. Once you see them in the uniform, you see the Photoshops before. Once you see them in the uniform, this is the real deal. Let's get hyped. This is a different breed. And one of the guys, let's talk about him right here. Everyone knows what happened. Deommodore Lenoir. And you were talking about Austin Watkins. And even though Austin Watkins, I think he has a legit shot to make the roster, that first look that we're going to get at him, Deommodore Lenoir just clamping him up, making that insane play, it's not good to say the least. But I'm not going to slander Austin Watkins too much. I think he still has a fantastic chance to make the roster. Let's talk about Deommodore Lenoir. Apparently he lit it up. And that play was the perfect play to sum it up. So you got some hope right there. K'Waun Williams, he's probably going to be the nickelback. K'Waun Williams is on an expiring contract after this year, contract year. Could he be the replacement? Could he be the fifth-round gem? I know we've been all talking about Talanoa Hufanga as the fifth-round gem. Maybe Deommodore Lenoir is that guy. We'll have to see it. But I think Deommodore Lenoir, I think so far from what we've seen, we've had a fantastic look at him. I think it's looking real good with this cornerback room with Deommodore Lenoir now in this mix.
Yeah, it went viral. People are like, "Hey, perfect form. That's exactly how you draw it up." And he had Watkins like locked up. I mean, and that was the only pick that Trey Lance threw in practice. So yeah, Deommodore Lenoir, he could be. I mean, that's what we're gonna have. Throughout camp, we're gonna have some people shine, and he might be a guy to keep an eye on. Going forward. So yeah, that was cool. And
yeah.
I guess we'll talk about the Marquis Lee signing. He hasn't played a full season in 2 or 3 years. I don't know how much. I mean, I think he's good for competition. Like we don't really have a guy we're expecting to be wide receiver 3. We have some ideas, some guys who could make it, but I think having as much competition as possible, just letting the best man win, probably the best way to go. And people talk about Kendrick Bourne, and he's going to be real important to replace. He was very reliable on third downs, very reliable in the red zone. But when he made the roster, no one really thought much of him. He first got brought on the roster. It's not like he was, Kendrick Bourne, got to keep him around. He kind of just grew into that. I think it's a chance for someone to do the same thing this time around. As far as just all the guys we have, Jalen Hurd, Richie James, Benjamin's still here. We brought in Marquis Lee. You got Mohamed Sanu. Like one of these guys, are going to rise to the occasion. And as far as receiver goes, I mean, it'll work itself out. I'm not really. And then we have the news that everyone's buzzing about Julio Jones right now, which I guess we can talk about a little bit later. But just the receiver room, it's tough to predict who's going to make the roster. I mean, we know. I think it's safe to say Hurt's going to make it, and I think Richie James might be another guy who's probably safe. As far as making the roster, we already know about Ayuk and Samuel, but after that, it's really tough to see who's going to make the roster after that. There's so many guys that we're going to wait until we see him play to really have an idea of who's going to make the roster.
Yeah, I actually tweeted this out a few days ago about my predictions for the roster. I would actually say that Jalen Hurd isn't the lock because of his injury concerns. I don't know how good he's going to be coming back from that, because if he looks really bad, if he's not 100%, I definitely think that the 49ers would not be afraid to move on for him. So I think it will work out really well not work out really well for Jalen Hurd, but I should say I would not be surprised if the 49ers are willing to cut him. I know he was a third-round pick. I know he hasn't played a game yet. I know there's a ton of potential right there. But if he's dealing with injuries still, I think you have to move on for him and cut him loose, because you can't have the guy getting injury after injury after injury in the NFL and hasn't played a game in 3 seasons. The other guy I would say, Richie James is a lock in my opinion. Debo and Ayuk are the other 2 locks. So those are my 3 locks. Other than that, you have Hurd, Sanu, Jennings, Watkins, Benjamin, Marquis Lee, River Craycraft, Trent Sherfield, Kevin White. I would not be surprised if any of those guys made the roster to fill up that roster. I said there were going to be 7 receivers. We went with 7 in 2019. 2020, we went with 6, but we don't have a receiving tight end at this point. behind Kittle, I should say, a pure receiving tight end behind Kittle. I still think that's one of the biggest needs for this team. And we'll talk about a guy later who I bet some of you guys already know who this guy is, but we'll talk about him later. But I think you look at this team, you need an extra receiver if you're not going to get that receiving tight end. So I went with 7 receivers for my very early prediction. Debo, Ayuk, Richie James, those are the locks. I do have Jalen Hurd making the roster. I think he should be fine. Mohamed Sanu knows the system really well, can provide that veteran leadership that you need for this team. The other 2 are interesting. I'm going to go, you want a special teams guy on this team? I think you're looking at Travis Benjamin. He's really the only kick returner, punt returner on this team. I think that's something that this team needs. And then Marquis Lee's the other one. I think he's done really well in the rookie minicamp. Yeah, he's the veteran, but when healthy, Marquis Lee is a pretty good receiver. So I definitely think he has a good shot at making this roster, Marquis Lee. And that on the practice squad, you got Jennings and Watkins. I think you just put the 2 youngest guys there. Hope they don't get picked up. Cut, unfortunately, will be River Craycraft, the legend himself, Trent Sherfield, and Kevin White. And overall, this is a very solid core, in my opinion. Those 7 guys and those 2 guys on the practice squad.
Man, 7. I wonder if they keep 7. We'll see. I mean,
we'll have to see. I think the only reason I was saying they keep 7 is because they don't have that. You have Dwelly at tight end, but they like to use Dwelly in a lot of places. I think you need more of a Jordan Reed type guy who can be that pure receiving tight end. And that's what they did last year. They went 6 last year with Ross Dwelly. They went 6 receivers with receiver. They were 6 receivers last year. I'm stuttering at this point, but 6 receivers in 2020, 7 in 2019. In 2019, you didn't have that pure receiver either. You had Ross Dwelly as tight end 2, and then you had Selleck, who didn't really do much, and Levine Toilolo, who was in that Charlie Warner role. So you had that receiver tight end last year that you can cut down a receiver. This year, you don't have that, so I think you go 7.
We'll see.
It's 6 or 7. I'll just say that way.
I mean, I think 6 or 7 is a little safer. We'll see what they keep on the practice squad. Is the veteran rule still in place? I wonder if that's still in place. Then
I don't know. I'd have to look.
Yeah, I have no idea. I mean, they haven't said it's not in place, so I don't know.
Yeah,
but if the veteran rule is in place, I think one of those guys gets stashed in the practice squad probably, and we'll see how long it lasts.
For sure.
But all right, moving on here. So, the last episode, I was making my case for why it isn't completely worthless to start Jimmy Garoppolo, but it sounds like the team is kind of preparing for, a competition. I forget what show it was. It was the podcast. It was a Michael Irvin podcast, one of Michael Irvin's podcasts. Shanahan was on it, and he asked the question. He was like, "Hey, if Lance comes in and he looks, ready to go, is he starting?" He's like, is he a chance to start? And Shanahan was like, "Yeah, of course he does. Jimmy's a really good quarterback, but if Lance comes in and he looks ready, then it's definitely going to be a competition," which is kind of something he said earlier. So, I mean, just for people who kind of believe that Jimmy's starting no matter what, I don't think that's the case. And also George Kittle, who we know has been is been the biggest advocate for Jimmy Garoppolo, is like, I'm excited to see this QB competition. Kind of paraphrasing, but he's like, yes, this is a quote that I have here, but he said, if my starting quarterback was scared of competition, I don't know if he'd be my starting quarterback. Competition is what makes you a good football player. If you weren't competitive every single day fighting for a job, you're not perform your best. So even Kittle is kind of changing tune a little bit, saying, "Hey, we're open for a QB competition here. So maybe we should really, Trey Lance has a really solid shot to start. It's really what I'm getting at. Which up to me, my preference, I kind of hope he does win the job, get out there as soon as possible. I would prefer that. But it's going to be interesting to see. We're going to be talking about this probably throughout the entirety of camp, just Lance versus Garoppolo. But Lance most definitely has a shot.
I think he's always had a shot too. I think this comes as no surprise that this was going to be a competition. I know they keep saying that Jimmy's our guy. What does guy necessarily mean? Does it mean that he's the starter? Does it mean that he's the backup? Does it mean he's just going to have a role on this team in some way, some shape, or some form? I think it's always been considered it would be a competition between Trey Lance. And when you take a guy at number 3, they should be in the conversation for your starting quarterback. I don't care who it is, but they should definitely be in that conversation, even if they're really raw. And Lance, not the rawest quarterback, does have some rawness in him. But with that North Dakota State offense, we keep bringing that up all the time. I think it can help him out a lot. And I definitely think he can win the starting position. as we said last week, or maybe weeks before, I don't really know when it was, but we keep saying that the 49ers will put Trey Lance in when he's ready to go in. And I definitely think that's going to be what this training camp is going to be like. Is Trey Lance ready to go in week 1? That's really going to be the big question of training camp for the 49ers, because if Trey Lance is ready, I don't care how good Garoppolo is playing, you put Trey Lance in because he's the quarterback for the future.
And apparently in that podcast, I think this article I'm looking at says the biggest takeaway was that the 49ers won't hesitate to put Lance into the starting lineup once he feels he's ready to go. Namely because there wasn't an outright statement committing to Garoppolo getting the starter job for 2021. So, yeah, it seems like whenever Lance is ready is when he'll play. And that could be – we'll have to see when that is. It could be week 1. It could be during like a couple weeks into the season. It could be halfway through. Like, it kind of feels like Garoppolo is just a placeholder until Lance is ready. It's not really like, he is here to, like, be the starter and just have Lance sit behind him. It's more so, hey, you're just going to start until we feel like Lance is ready to go. And we'll see how soon that is. Yeah.
And that's what we've been talking about all offseason. We need that bridge quarterback. And that's why I was saying, whether it be Garoppolo, whether it be a guy like Teddy Bridgewater, whether it be Fitzpatrick, Dalton, whoever you want, you need that bridge quarterback. And that's what Jimmy Garoppolo is doing right here. He's going to be that fill-in guy until Lance is ready. So we're really glad that we have that. We're not in a situation, let's say the 2018 Jets. Was Josh McCown really that good of a bridge quarterback? No, they put Sam Darnold in right away, and they didn't really have that much of a choice. And that led to help lead to his downfall, I should say. So you have that bridge in place, and the team's looking really set. You can develop Trey Lance. This can be a Mahomes situation, or this can be a Herbert situation where Herbert goes in week 2. Or or it can be a Mahomes situation where they bench him the entire year. He's ready in 2018.
I'm starting to believe that's not the case. I don't think Mahomes is where they're going with this.
I don't think this is the Mahomes situation. I was just saying it could be if they really want that. If they don't feel like Trey Lance is ready, they need a bit more time. But they're going to take their time with this because Jimmy Garoppolo, he's already led this team to a Super Bowl before. So he can do it again probably. In my opinion, this offense is significantly better than it was in 2019. Defense has some question marks with injury concerns. The secondary is a bit weaker in my opinion. But overall, you're looking at a very good supporting cast for whoever the quarterback is. And I think that's also going to play a bit of a factor in the decision because if they think Trey Lance is almost ready, they can maybe put him in 1 week, give it a shot. If it doesn't work out, put back Garoppolo. In the end, it's going to work out. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, but I mean, I kind of felt like they were heading towards the Alex Smith and Patrick Mahomes situation because that's one of the ones that Shanahan mentioned numerous times. When talking about Garoppolo and his spot on the roster, but then just with the quotes that he put after the draft and with the quotes that we have now, it sounds like whenever Lance is ready is when he'll play, and we'll have training camp, we'll have preseason to see him, and we have a comment here from Bradley said they should sit him. They do not have elite weapons yet. We are 1 year away. We'll see. Maybe Shanahan feels like Lance can, lift the floor of the offense a little bit because like it or not, you're limited with Garoppolo because the deep ball is very efficient and he doesn't attempt it very often. Obviously, you don't have the threat, of him, rushing with his legs, and when he plays, they're stacking the box a whole lot now. So running the ball has not been as successful as it used to be, just because the box has got like 8-9 guys. So just if you play Lance, you have just the versatility of what you can do. First of all, with his legs, you got to play 11 on 11, which Shanahan always, refers to when you have a mobile quarterback saying you have to play 11 on 11. It's not 10 on 11. You got to account for every player on the field. And I think that just lifts the floor of the offense, and maybe the offense can perform better. And I know it's a lot to put on the shoulders of a rookie, and he might not be a star, right away. But I just think the things that Trey Lance can offer is just things that Garoppolo just cannot offer. You just cannot run read option with Jimmy Garoppolo. You can't do any RPOs. You can't do any of that stuff. The bootlegs, we haven't seen a whole much recently from, as far as like just getting out of the pocket and making plays on the move. You can do all that with Lance. You can kind of ease him in. We know Shanahan gets guys open. It's on the film. These receivers get open, and if Lance is starting and you have that deep ball threat, just the threat of going long, and just the fact that just you can't really stack the box. I think that opens up the run game a bit more too. And then obviously we saw we got a little more power. You brought in Aaron Banks. You got Trey Sermon. I just think I'm not trying to say the offense will be unstoppable, but I think the offense can be better with Trey Lance starting this year than with Garoppolo.
And that's exactly why I say Kyle Shanahan has zero faith in Garoppolo. I've been saying that for the past 6 months on literally every stream that I'm on, whether it's this stream, never mind. I'm rambling a bit too much. But the point is, Trey Lance, whenever he's ready, he's going to go in. I kind of just forgot what I was going to say. I know I'm repeating myself, so I'm just going to let that slide. I completely forgot what I was going to say there.
So just say you agree with me.
Yeah, I agree with you. Exactly.
All right, perfect.
Dude, I'm tired. Just give me a break. I'm fine.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not necessarily talking to you, Kobe. I'm talking to the audience. You can give me a break. I've been grinding this week, man. I've been hustling. I've been hustling for a while now, so it is what it is. We always have these times.
Yes, I mean, yeah, I get you, bro. I get you. I got you. Holding it down for you.
We'll let it slide this time, but
all right. So, people love these. No, they don't. I know there's a lot of people who have issues with rankings, and it's all for clickbait. It's all just to get attention. And you're right. It's what we do. We and I kind of have to embrace it. It is what it is. I could have just left this alone. I could have just not given any attention at all. But we're sports content creators. This is what we do. We debate, we discuss, we analyze. It's just what you do with sports. And so PFF released their rankings of all 32 starting quarterbacks, assuming that all these quarterbacks will start. And they had Jimmy Garoppolo 22, and they had him ranked below the likes of Ryan Fitzpatrick, Joe Burrow, Daniel Jones, and Trevor Lawrence, who has not played a single NFL snap, mind you, which I'm sure we all know. But, obviously, it's the rankings, it is what it is. We know Garoppolo, is kind of we know he's not an elite quarterback. We know that. We know he's around the average, sometimes above average. He's inconsistent. He's just you don't know what you're going to get, the slightly below average or slightly above average or just average. Jimmy Garoppolo. I personally, if I don't have the rankings in my head, but if I would assume I probably put him around the 17, 16 through like 19 range probably. If I had to rank quarterbacks, that's probably where he would end up, somewhere in that range. But they have him 22. And the couple that I was like, is, Daniel Jones. I'm like, he's still kind of a question mark, I think we have a better idea of what Garoppolo is and what Daniel Jones is. I mean, Jones has more potential, per se. But as of right now, I wouldn't take Jones over Garoppolo. If I was trying to win games now, and picking the quarterback, I wouldn't take Jones over Garoppolo. Another one was Burrow. Kind of we talk about Garoppolo struggling with the deep ball. Joe Burrow wasn't great either with the deep ball. Now, we know his offensive line wasn't great, and his weapons weren't the best either. But at the same time, there were overthrows or inaccuracies. Same things we get Garoppolo about. I saw some that was, Joe Burrow. Fitzpatrick is the one. Like, it's kind of like, I can kind of see it, but then I kind of don't. And then, like I said, Lawrence, he hasn't played a single snap yet. I'm not putting him over Garoppolo as far as like, I know, like, as far like, I get it. Just in a ranking, I'm not putting him over Garoppolo. He hasn't played the game yet. But I understand that, the hype, Lawrence, 6'6", big arm, like perfect prospect. He's the Andrew Luck of this draft class pretty much. But at the same time, he hasn't played a single game. I can't sit here and say he's better than Garoppolo without playing a single NFL snap. Now, as far as potential goes, yes, much higher potential. Obviously, that goes without saying. But just in a ranking, he'll look smart. If Garoppolo either doesn't play or Lawrence outplays, a lot of the quarterbacks on this list, he'll look smart for putting Lawrence, ahead of Garoppolo, right now. But just right now, I'm just like, it feels weird to do it when he hasn't played a single game yet.
Yeah, I think honestly, 22, it's a reasonable spot for Garoppolo, but the quarterbacks ahead of him are definitely questionable. And Kobe really hit the nail on the head with this one. Daniel Jones, definitely a questionable one. Trevor Lawrence should not be ranked. That's a bit unfair to everyone else. He hasn't played a snap yet, so that's probably good. Joe Burrow, I actually kind of agree with. I do think that Joe Burrow, when he was on the field before the knee injury, I think he was balling out better than what Garoppolo was doing. So I would put Joe Burrow ahead of them. The one quarterback that this is not Jimmy Garoppolo. I just want to bring this up real quick. Kyler Murray at 17. Are you kidding me? That is the worst. Kyler Murray is behind Ben Roethlisberger, Kirk Cousins, Derek Carr.
Also,
Come on.
this list has Baker Mayfield ahead of Matthew Stafford. That I thought that was crazy
it's
too.
bad.
I was like, no way.
And Kyler should be ahead of those two. Kyler should be a top 10 quarterback on this list. This is a reason why I say PFF doesn't mean anything. It really just doesn't, because their rankings they rank a different way than everyone else. And the rankings,
I think it's based on their numbers, right? Like that's probably
based on their numbers.
statistics.
Yeah, it's based on their own numbers, and it's a bit different from everyone else. I will say PFF for offensive line grading, I do think works out really well, because offensive line, they have the numbers that will help judge the offensive linemen. But other than that, it's really just like, this is why I really don't care about this PFF stuff. I'll care if it's an offensive lineman ranking, because how they grade it on is what did they do something right or did they do something wrong? What was their assignment? They look at all of the ins and outs of football, really. And they don't really look at the numbers. They look at the ins and outs, see, hey, did you make this work? Did you not make this work? It's basically all of that from what I've read, from what I've seen, just from my knowledge. I think there's a bit more to that, but offensive lineman, that's exactly how you should grade an offensive lineman. And that's really all I trust for PFF. Offensive line gradings I can see, but other than that, it's just kind of hard to get behind this.
Yeah, I mean, I've also heard rumors that they base their rankings off of the game tape. Like they don't do the numbers off of all 22. Like it's on game tape, like just a broadcast. It's like,
yeah, it's all off of.
And that's why offensive lines ultimately really get right, because that's what you can see. You know, you can't see the receivers downfield without all 22. So
exactly
that too is like it's PFF is definitely not gospel. It's not the Bible. It's just straight facts. Not whenever you see this, oh yeah, PFF can't possibly be wrong. No, they're wrong about things most of the time. But
everyone's wrong about things. You and I can be wrong.
Yeah.
How about that 49ers schedule last year?
And that's one thing I'm getting used to. You know, sometimes I got a little conservative. Like, if I say this, if I'm wrong, then it's gonna look bad. Like, no, just say what you think and let it be.
Yeah.
But
hey, how about that 49ers schedule prediction last year, though? That was real good, baby.
Yeah, Garoppolo's prediction, my schedule prediction. I flirted with like 14 wins last year for the 20.
Hey man, you can't go wrong. Nobody expected us to just die on the field.
Even if we were healthy, though, I'm not sure 14 was happening. But
it's literally it's literally that Peter Griffin scene where he just keeps falling down the stairs every time. That's exactly what happened.
Yeah,
if you know what I'm talking about.
I might let some. I said I wasn't gonna make a prediction at any point, this upcoming year, but I might make a prediction or two.
Oh, you're totally gonna make a prediction.
Yeah,
you're totally gonna. I'm gonna ask for it on the pod sometime later on.
Oh yeah, I also had, in case someone didn't see the tweet, I'm assuming everyone who's listening saw my tweet. But if Trey Lance starts week 1, I will purchase an iPhone.
It's about damn time, iPhone gang. Let's freaking go.
Yeah, so I just thought I'd make it interesting. So Garoppolo does start, I kind of win because I get to keep my Android. But if Lance starts, I'd be happy that Lance is starting.
But move on.
Dang, I gotta go to iOS, man. That would. So yeah, now it's a little more interesting to me now to see who starts, because now my next phone purchase is kind of relying on whoever wins the job in camp. I'm about to call Garoppolo up and be like, "Hey, Garoppolo, man, my phone's on the line. I need you to come in and at least start week 1."
You gotta call Shanahan. Make Shanahan rig it. That's what you do.
True. Yeah,
take the easy way out, man.
Yeah, I should get in touch with Kyle. Like, hey, Kyle.
But I'm also gonna call Kyle. I'm also gonna tell you to disregard everything so you can get an iPhone. You
know what? Actually, depending on what phone Kyle has, if Kyle has an iPhone, he's gonna start Trey Lance off the rip. He's like, "Oh, all right, bet."
He probably saw your tweet. He saw my video with.
Does anyone know what phone Kyle has?
I don't know. I know I know he saw my. I don't know if he sees this, but I was on Grant Cone phone. I said, "Hey, we should get Justin Hilliard." What does Kyle Shanahan do? Get Justin Hilliard. Does he watch our stuff? I don't know. Probably.
Yeah. Kyle Shanahan, head coach in the NFL, has been in the league for a long time. He most definitely signed a player because Sam told him to. Definitely.
He absolutely did, dude.
Absolutely.
You can call me quality control Sam.
Well,
I'm taking over Grant's role.
I'm telling Grant. I'm telling Grant.
Grant, I'm coming for you. I am coming straight for your job. Be warned, buddy.
Okay. All right. So yeah, that's the PFF thing. Sam, this was what you want to talk about. You said, "Hey, can we talk about this today?" I was like, "Sure." Late additions. Sam, you said you had some guys in mind. I'll let you go ahead. Who are some guys you hope the Niners go get?
Yeah, well, I just wanted to have this because I want to share my thoughts on a few players. The one guy I've been raving about the past few days now is Zach Ertz. And I think I saw it. Somebody was like, might have actually been Grant, who we were just talking about, said something about tight end. Like, I can play tight end. The 49ers need a receiving tight end. I just think receiving tight end. Wait a minute. Why is Zach Ertz not gone? We can get him for this is why I like Zach Ertz. I might make a video on this, honestly, because there's not really much to do on the channel right now. But Zach Ertz, one of the best tight ends in football when healthy. A receiving tight end. Cheap. We can get him for a very low price. The fact that he's been wanting out all offseason, it's well known by everyone in the league. It doesn't seem like he's going to report to OTAs or training camp unless he gets traded. He wants out and Philly wants him out. They're not going to give up much for him. They're not going to take much for him, I should say. I think a 5th-round pick would do it, and that's an absolute steal for a guy like Zach Ertz. And I don't think you get Zach Ertz, you're not necessarily using him in that Jordan Reed role. You're using him a bit more, and you're using a 2 tight end set a lot more. And I think last year that worked out really well for us. Is it necessarily a need that we need to run 2 tight end sets all the time? No, but when you have a ton of questions at wide receiver 3, you need to help with that. And I definitely think you can run 2 tight end sets, Kittle and Ertz on for your tight ends. Receivers, you got Debo and Ayuk. I think it works out really perfectly. And it's just another weapon on this offense. And Kittle, by the way, he's dealt with some injury history last year before he had that bone chip in his ankle. And we know how tough he is. He'll come back from these. He'll get back on the field whenever. But when you have injury history like that, it's always good to get a safe backup. Zach Ertz is that guy. I'm all aboard the Zach Ertz trend. I definitely think it would make a lot of sense. The only concern with that, I think there's got to be some other teams in. Cincinnati and Arizona are 2 teams. I think it might have been Bleacher Report, proposed a trade for Zach Ertz straight up for Jordan Hicks. That seems too perfect for them. So I feel like that would probably happen. But the Niners, if they want a tight end, if they want a receiver and tight end, get on Zach Ertz quickly. Cornerback, that's the other thing. I think the Niners could afford to add a quarterback. I know that we've had Deommodore Lenoir now in camp, but who's that 6th cornerback on your team? You don't really have that right now. And we talked about this last week, so I'm not going to go too into it, but I'm going to talk about Richard Sherman and Brian Poole. Those are the 2 guys I think would fit the system really well. 2 of the best available players, in my opinion. They don't necessarily have to start right away if you don't want them to. If they can, they will. But also, if you just had so many injuries in this secondary, I think it works out really well. You bring either of those guys in, fill that last spot, get that 6th man on the team for the DBs, for the cornerbacks, I should say. I think overall, you're really just bolstering the room. And we have cap to do this. We're not doing this because we don't have enough cap. We're not making any moves because we don't have cap. We need to make moves now. And I definitely think maybe it's a bit early to make these moves. Maybe you want to see the rest of the roster. I know you have a guy like Josh Peterson, who could be that tight end. Another guy who has those Eagles connections, son of Doug Peterson. Tim Harris has not seen the field that much. Maybe he can do something. I bet the team has very strong faith in Dante Johnson at this point, per usual. We'll have to see how that goes. But overall, I think there's a lot of corresponding moves that this team can make, maybe even adding another wide receiver. I think personally we're set there, but I would not be surprised if the 49ers do that as well.
Yeah, I think one guy, I think why not give Melvin Ingram a signing? Give him a shot just to come into camp.
He's still available too. I completely forgot about
he's still
that.
Out there. And Edge, okay, so you got Bosa coming back, but I mean, I feel like you might limit him a little bit, coming off an ACL injury. I mean, we'll see where his conditioning is at. Maybe he comes in and plays every down like he did in 2019. Well, not every down, they rotate, but a high snap count. We'll see. But if not, we still don't know what's going on with D Ford. Samson.
I was about to say the fact that they haven't brought in really anyone besides Ebukam that notable tells me that Ford should be ready to go. Oh, yeah, Arden Key, that was a very late signing.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, that's what I'm saying. But that's really all they did. I mean, I'm assuming, like you said, I guess Ford, you're kind of banking on him playing. But if for some reason he has any complications or any setbacks, you're down to Ebukam and Arden Key. And, Ebukam, we know he was in
and
the
Bosa
3-4
too. You forgot Bosa.
Well, I mean, Bosa, we know he's starting. We're seeing opposite Bosa.
Yeah.
Just what you can do opposite Bosa. Melvin Ingram has played opposite of Bosa before and was pretty solid. Obviously, we know he was injured for half of last season. Didn't play much, had no sacks. We understand it, but just give him a shot, in training camp. I mean, I'm sure it won't cost you much. He's still available right now. He's not, highly coveted right now. I'm sure you can get him for the cheap. And just have some potential depth there, just because in case Forrest's not ready to go, or maybe he has some, even during the season, he gets injured during the season. Maybe Arden Key turns out to not work out. He gets cut, and you just need another guy. I know they brought back Jordan Willis. Did they bring Deion Jordan back? I don't think it.
They did not. Do you have Jordan Willis back?
I think Willis. Yeah.
Zach Kerr could move to defensive end. I don't think he will.
No, I don't know.
So.
I think
he's kind of like that. He's the guy that will play behind Eric Armstead because that's a very similar play style to what he does.
Yeah, but I just think Melvin Ingram I couldn't hurt, right? It couldn't hurt to bring him in just to kind of
bring those low risk, high reward signings. It works every time. You had Jordan Reed, low risk, high reward. Worked out well when Nick Mullins was not starting at quarterback. It worked out well for him. There's a ton of other notable names out there.
And if he doesn't play, if Ingram doesn't work out, you just cut him.
That's simple.
It's what it is.
Ziggy Ansah too. That didn't work out, but because of the bicep tear. But
that again. But it's crazy. I just remembered we were trying to sign Tack McKinley, and he just failed the physical. And actually, I was really hoping
he failed 2 physicals, dude.
Yeah, he felt. Yeah,
he was on the Falcons, and then he failed. He fell with the Bengals, fell with the Niners, ends up on the Raiders practice squad. And now he's on the Browns. So a whirlwind time for him, I guess.
I was kind of hoping it'll work out because I feel like he could have been okay for us.
Very kid, always love to see that.
Yeah, but he just couldn't pass the physical, man. Also, for people who don't know, Ronald Blair never got signed. He failed his physical.
I'm not surprised, but I think Ronald Blair.
He's probably done.
Yeah, there's just he tore his ACL week 10, hasn't returned, had a setback. He's
2019. 2019.
2019, yeah, exactly.
So that was a while ago.
The worst part about it, dude, was he made such a good play on that. And that's going to be remembered as probably his last play ever in the NFL.
Yeah, it was a big stop at that point in the game. But, he blew his ACL out on that play, and now he hasn't been back since. Really rough. Football is brutal.
Dude, it's brutal.
Football is brutal.
You have these guys go down all the time, and it's just you can't help it. It's part of the game.
It's really tough, man. But hey, it's football. It is what it is. All right. Last thing we'll talk about before we get out of here. Julio Jones, a lot of buzz. I think we kind of touched it earlier in the episode, but now we can kind of go a little more in depth. Could the Niners make it work? They probably could. Move some contracts around a little bit. I'm not sure. So if the Falcons traded him, I don't – contracts are rough for me, but I'm thinking if they traded him, they have to pay him his guarantees. And I think his base salary is 15.3 or 15.8, which I think could fit under the Niners salary cap, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
is he on a contract year?
No, he's got this year, next year, and then he has an out after that.
Okay.
So 3 years left, but an out after the second of the next 3. But this one, I think Matt Mayoko had an article on Julio Jones and how it could work. And now since then, there's been a lot of buzz on could the Niners make this work. But I tweeted this before we started the show, and it's we do this every year with receivers. We had Odell Beckham for off and on for 3 years. We had Antonio Brown one time. Now we got Julio Jones. These veteran receivers who are super good, high, just names oh yeah, that's an elite player. Obviously, Julio Jones is no longer in his prime. He's still a good receiver, but no longer in his prime. He's had a lot of injuries the last few years. But he's open for trade. We'll see if he does get traded. We've seen players be available for trade often, and nothing ever happens. But we'll see what happens with Julio. But could they make it work contract wise? Possibly. It'd be easier if Garoppolo wasn't here. You have $24 million more dollars to work with, but I feel like they're not even really. I'm sure they call because they always call. They always call about players to see what the price is. But I feel like this is one of those times again where it's like the Odell Beckham and Antonio Brown, like, hey, we're all talking about it, like, hey, this is the move to make. Like, we should do this if we can do it. But then they never do it. So
yeah,
I think that's what this is.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you. And I honestly think, it doesn't make that much sense to do. Why? I just talked about Zach Ertz playing that more of a receiver more than tight end role. Cheaper. Why not? And yeah, cheaper contract-wise and capital-wise. I definitely think, why not? Why bring in Julio Jones? We can get Zach Ertz. I think that's
Also,
a much better.
What's the asking price for Julio Jones? Like, I mean, a second round pick.
Oh, it's got to be at least.
I mean, we do have a second round pick, but we have no first, no second. In the draft.
No first, no comp third.
No, I'm saying, like, if we traded for Julio, it'd probably be no first, no second. You can't trade a first because we don't have any.
Exactly. Yeah. Years. I mean, I think you look at Zach Ertz, you can get him for a fifth. You can get I'd rather give up a fifth than a second for a guy who's going to have a very similar role in this offense. Zach Ertz is such a good player too. People forget he was overshadowed in Philly by Dallas Goedert. That's how it worked out. And that's why he wants out. He wants to have more of a bigger role for this team. And I think the 49ers will work out really well for him. Because another reason I'll talk about Zach Ertz a little bit more, Kittle had a dropping problem last year. You can't deny that, in my opinion. He definitely had a dropping problem last year. So got to fix that up a little bit. How about bringing some competition? I'm not saying Kittle's out. No, he's one of the best tight ends in football. But have some help for him. I think that would work out really well. A guy who can play his position rather than another wide receiver on this team. And then you have your starting lineup right there. With quarterback, running back, you'll have those two. Your weapons on offense, you have Ayuk, Debo, you have Kittle, you have Ertz. You can slide in Juszczyk if you want. It works out really well for this 49ers team. I don't think they necessarily need Julio because you can get – why have Julio, Ayuk, Kittle, and Dwelly on the field when you have Debo, Ayuk, Ertz, and Kittle on the field? That's a much deeper weapon core right there. I think it makes so much more sense to get a guy like Zach Ertz rather than Julio Jones.
Yeah, I just can't say that. I can't. I'm saying you don't need Julio Jones. I mean, I know this is a much older Julio Jones, but it just sounds weird coming out. It just sounds like you don't need Julio Jones. Like,
we don't need him at all. I feel like we're set. I mean, a wide receiver, you can have him if you want. One of the better receivers in football, obviously.
I think it could work.
It could work out for sure. It definitely could work out.
So, the tight end thing, I kind of get where you're coming from. You kind of want another, just big body threat, just kind of sure-handed guy to rely on. But I don't know. I mean, we never. The thing that kind of sucks is we never saw what it could look like was Jordan Reed and George Kittle because they were never playing together. When one was in, one was out for a majority of that season. And really, Jordan Reed didn't really get a lot of snaps, and he was kind of out for injury. And then by the time he got healthy again, Kittle was out. So, that kind of sucked. But we never really saw what it would look like if Kittle and Reed were together. I don't know how good Reed was last year. Just because he retired.
Was good with Garoppolo, not with Mullins. There was zero connection there.
And he played with Garoppolo for like a game.
He played with Garoppolo week 2, basically. I think that was it.
Yeah. So, we know Garoppolo loves his tight ends, so that probably would work better with Garoppolo. I think that was probably the plan. Now, does it really depend on who's playing? Like if Lance is the starter, would Jones make more sense? And if Garoppolo's the starter, would Ertz make more sense? I think that's kind of like
who's Julio Jones.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about Mac Jones. I'm still in the quarterback line. I thought you were talking about Mac Jones. I was like,
oh my god, bro! I think we're gonna be scarred for life for the Mac Jones thing, even though he's not on the roster.
Dude, I'm gonna be scarred for life if Trey Lance is a bust and we passed on Justin Fields and he becomes great, or Mac Jones even.
You know what? If that happens, I get to pat myself on the back a little bit. I'm not asking for Trey Lance to fail, but I'll be like, hey, I did say I prefer Fields over Lance.
But what if it's Mac Jones?
Okay, now they both fail, and Mac Jones is the guy, and that's the guy we all said absolutely not to.
The media, Mike Lombardi's just gonna come at us like, I told you.
Yeah, then we all got Ear Crow, for saying that Niners should not draft Mac Jones and he's the best quarterback. Oh my god, I can't imagine a scenario where that's the thing. I can't imagine a reality where Mac Jones was the best quarterback coming out of this class. I can't.
I know.
I cannot. That would be, and after we spent so long saying absolutely no to Mac Jones and he's the best one in the class. I mean, that sounds like a Belichick thing, though. That sounds like a Belichick.
It really does, dude.
The one guy that no one wanted, yeah, he's the best player in the class.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I wouldn't mind either signing. I mean, all these guys are late signings. They cannot sign anybody for the next 3 months. You know, they could just be like, you know what? No, we like what we got. Like Marquis Lee, I did not see that coming. I was like, Marquis Lee. And it's like he's in there, like they're working him out. It's like, you know, they're probably just working him out. It's not nothing really. And then a day later, he's like signed. I'm like, oh, okay. So I mean, yeah, we'll see. I'm sure they got some guys they got their eyes on, or maybe they're good right now. Maybe they're not really looking to acquire anybody else. So we'll see.
And if the 49ers are good right now, I wouldn't mind that at all. I think
if the roster is set, then it is what it is. You know, I'm not gonna
if this is the roster, I'm fine. But when you can make moves, low risk, high reward moves to improve your roster, I think you have to capitalize on those opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, there's some guys out there, you know, like they missed on Casey Hayward. You know, I won't say they missed, but I would have liked to see Casey Hayward, you know, added to the cornerback room, just potentially, you know, potential starter next to Verrett. We know they're likely going to play some more man coverage and everything, some more, you know, just a more versatile scheme where you could do a little more of everything. I thought Hayward could have been nice, at least to compete, but June 1st cut date. Any cut candidates for the Niners? I think the only guy I really think about is Garoppolo, right?
He's not going to get cut at this point.
Yeah, I know he's not going to get cut. Definitely not. But I think, like, as far as like the most to gain from a June 1st cut, no one else really has a big contract. I mean, unless you're going to cut D Ford, but no, they restructured.
They won't do that either. I don't think.
Yeah,
I think the roster right now. I think the roster right now, just from my knowledge, is just it. Excuse me. It just seems set right now, and you have those battles going on in OTAs, in rookie mini camps. You have 90 players, a very solid 90 players. The only cuts you'll see is if we bring in a guy like Zach Ertz, like Julio Jones. You'll probably cut someone maybe at that position, maybe at a different position. I don't know. We'll have to see. But overall, I think this team, I mean, we're looking set right now. I don't think there's going to be any other cuts.
Yeah, I mean, you would gain the most from cutting players that you definitely don't want to cut.
Exactly.
Like I think you would gain $5 million for cutting Laken Tomlinson. You're not going to do that. You would gain $3 million for cutting Fred Warner or Raheem Mostert. You're not going to do that. Like the biggest person the most money they can gain would be cutting Jimmy Garoppolo. You know, and they're not going to do that either. So,
and I feel like the only way we would cut Jimmy Garoppolo is if we were going to sign someone for this ridiculous contract, but there's no one out there. So overall, it just doesn't work out, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that no one's getting cut. You know, I think the roster is pretty much set, unless they have someone else they're going to bring in last second. We kind of discussed this a little bit.
If you rewind 5 minutes, we talked about that. So,
I mean, I think we do this every year. I think we all would like them to get, you know, a big name receiver like this, but I don't think they do. I think they're set. I think their moves, because they went and signed, you know, they brought in Mohamed Sanu, they went and signed Marquis Lee, you know, they brought in Austin Watkins. I think they have guys that they still have Jalen Hurd, you know, they kept Travis Benjamin, Richie James is here, Kevin White's still here. I still think they do it. I think the room is crowded, and I think if they thought they could get Julio, they wouldn't have brought in Marquis Lee. That's what I think about it, you know.
And maybe just get Zach Ertz. That's all I want. Give me Zach Ertz.
I feel like you're not going to get Zach Ertz. I
don't think it's going to happen. But, hey, you know what? I'm going to put a video out. We got to get this promotion because somebody might see it, and then maybe John Lynch sees it, and he'll be like, oh, Zach Ertz. You know what? That's actually a great idea. And then he'll get on it. It's all about the chain reaction, baby. Got to get it to the front office. Someone will see it. Someone will talk to John Lynch. Hey, I saw this video about Zach Ertz.
According to Michael Lombardi, Kyle Shanahan didn't draft Mac Jones because of outside pressure. So, I mean, hey, we run the 49ers. We said, hey, no Mac.
We do.
Guess what? No Mac.
We're the GM. We are all the GM.
Maybe if we get enough people to say
it literally says it literally says it in Kobe's name. 49er GM. That could stand for 49ers general manager, or it could stand for 49ers gold mine. But I'm going to let's just pretend it stands for
49ers gold mine. But yeah, I heard it's been hurt the last 2 years. Richie James, Travis Benjamin, Sanu. What do they have left? Austin. Yeah, Walter
got cut.
I think it meant Austin Watkins.
Watkins. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Watkins got locked up in that one. I mean, there's one clip. He probably had a couple other good reps that we didn't see. But he had the one clip from Diamador, Odemo, where he got locked up. But yeah, we have no idea. I mean, I think Sanu probably gets cut, possibly, if one of the young guys steps up. I think Sanu is like he got cut last year when the Niners kind of need the receivers. I don't think he's going to make the roster this year. So we'll see.
The only reason I had him making the roster is he knows the system and he's a veteran leader on this team. So I personally think it's really a guy who can, as we said earlier, like the wire, I think you have 4 locks. Other than that, it can go any which direction. You have Kevin White, River Craycraft, and Austin Watkins. You can have Juwan Jennings, Travis Benjamin, Mohamed Sanu. You could have Marquis Lee. I mean,
there's so many guys, man. There's so many guys.
It's crazy, dude.
Preseason's going to be crazy.
Dude, preseason. I mean, training camp, preseason. I mean, I said it last
week. Training camp, we won't see unless they're on Hard Knocks, which I kind of hope we aren't because I don't know.
Or you can see it by You can see it by, in my opinion, the best fan experience in sports, going to training camp. If you're in the Bay Area, just a PSA, if you're in the Bay Area from late July to early August, go to training camp. You meet so many great people there, interact with the players a little bit. It is hands down the best experience as a 49ers fan. Better than a game experience is tough, but like if you want that behind the scenes interaction stuff, we can interact with fans, interact with players, meet a ton of new people. It works out really well. And if you're a podcaster like me, the last time I went to training camp, I wasn't podcasting. So this year I'm going to be all about that promotion, talking to myself, introducing myself to many people. It works out really well, man. I'm really looking forward to going to training camp. Definitely one of the highlights of my year every year that I've been.
Yeah.
It depends if fans are allowed, though. I don't know. Fans are usually allowed, but we'll see. And you can't. They have like 6 sessions, 6 periods. One of the one where they're running like the 11-on-11 drills, you can't film. But other than that, you can film.
See, is Richie James improved, or did he prove that he could take that spot if he plays more snaps? Because last year he played more snaps because of injuries. We know he had the Packer game where he absolutely toasted the Packer secondary. He like 5 catches, 183 and a touchdown. And we saw him. He played a lot towards the end of the year. Could he potentially be, wide receiver 3? I think he's got a shot to be there. We saw him less on the return duties too, so we'll see. I think Richie James had a chance. I think he has a chance to compete for that wide receiver 3 spot. But yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of young guys who we just kind of have no idea. Like we say, all these guys, like Hurt's been hurt, Jennings been hurt, Richie James, like you said, was mad. Jay. I think Sanu and Benjamin are probably 2 guys. I feel like they're. I don't know. I wonder if they keep one veteran. And if they do, which veteran would it be? I think that's why we probably
they're for sure going to keep one veteran. I bet it would be Sanu because he knows the system. But at the same time, he's on his last legs.
Receivers is tough. I mean, if someone predicts the receiver room like right now, like before camp even starts, if they get that right, like kudos to you. We probably deserve a cookie or something. Because
more than a cookie, like 3 cookies.
3 cookies, maybe a cash reward or something. Because that's going to be tough. Why is everyone hyped on Marquis Lee? Bring in Tate. You know what? Yeah, I mean, Tate.
That's another guy.
Ideal. I mean, but they could have signed him when they chose to sign Marquis Lee. So, I think Shanahan probably has something. I mean, we'll see. I don't know. Shanahan has his guys he likes and some guys he doesn't like. I mean, I think a lot of people have been saying bring Golden Tate in. Veteran, good slot receiver. I was going to say corner. Good slot receiver. As Jason likes to say, he hates Jalen Ramsey. So you got that going in the Rams games. So, I mean, I think Tate's the guy, but I kind of lost hope on that because
the fact that we haven't brought him in and it's almost June just tells me that the 49ers do not want him.
Yeah, I mean they signed Marquis Lee instead. They could have brought Tate in for a workout and signed Tate, but no, they did Marquis Lee.
I think everyone's hyped about.
Lee,
I was just gonna say I think everyone is hyped about Marquis Lee because he's actually been doing well with this team in this system. So you're kind of already getting a little glimpse of him. He was good before then. Now you have him on this team. He's a solid receiver, man. I mean, he's mad. Yeah,
he was. I think he could be Kendrick Bourne. You can get Kendrick Bourne.
I will say though, his most notable highlight is after someone got flagged for defensive pass interference in the Chargers, he started dancing in his face and got unsportsmanlike conduct. That's his career highlight right there. So he needs to prove a bit more, but you know what? This is the perfect room for him to do that because he can be that wide receiver 3 or he can get cut. The sky's the limit for him at this point.
Marquis Lee is a lot older than I thought he was. This man, I feel old. I remember when he came in. I don't remember a lot of things. I haven't watched football that long, but I remember when he came in. But yeah, he's 29 now. That's like, sheesh. Yeah, his last full year, he had 56 catches, 702 yards, 3 touchdowns. He didn't play 2018. I think he had a torn ACL or something like that in 2018.
He had some. Oh, I think it was against the Cowboys or something. He had some like ridiculously bad injury. Yeah, no, that was 2018. I think it happened in 2019. I don't know.
No, 2018. No, he missed 2018. There's no stats for 2018, and there's no stats for 2020. I think he was a free agent the entire year. And then, and then he played like one game in 2019. So he hasn't played in like 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, we'll see. But yeah, I don't think it hurts. I think could he be? Really, we're trying to replace Kendrick Bourne. We're trying to just get a guy who can give you like 25, 30 catches, some first downs here and there, and a couple of touchdowns in the red zone, And I think Marquis Lee could potentially, I mean, although his career high in touchdowns is like 3, I think. So, I mean, I don't know if that's just a product of the Bengals or just because they haven't, or just maybe he has some hidden potential or something like that. But yeah, as wide receiver 3, and we're talking about wide receiver 3. That's what we're talking about. We know Kittle is basically wide receiver 1. Ayuk and Debo are 2 and 3. At that point, your fourth target is whoever wins the wide receiver 3 job. And then you also factor in the running backs. I think the passing game will be fine. Even if, whoever wins the job will be good enough, I feel like. So it'll work itself out. So I'm not stressing work out about one. Yeah. I'm not stressing too much over whoever ends up winning the job. I just think it'll be an interesting battle to see who wins it. Just because there's so many people on the roster right now at receiver.
Honestly, dude, it's more of a fun debate than the quarterback debate because you only got 2 guys for quarterback. This one, you got like 9 guys that you can talk about.
I think this might be fair. I think there are some workout videos. Some people said Debo looks a little more in shape this time around. I think last offseason he came in a little. Some people say he came in a little out of shape. I think he had a fracture in the workouts before training camp, so he didn't.
Yeah, he fractured his foot.
Yeah, he didn't have a training camp.
Was that in Nashville? I remember in Nashville. That was the Nashville workout. He fractured. Yep. The only things that happened there, he fractured his foot, and somebody got COVID.
Yeah,
and Richie James had an injury too. I forgot about that.
Richie James hurt his wrist. So nothing really good happened in Nashville.
I just realized. So
we should have known. It started then.
Okay, so injuries. I was told that the reason that injuries happened was the turf. That just foreshadowed the Jets game. I just realized that.
It foreshadowed our entire season because
the turf just literally the turf conditions just killed everything. Nashville happened. New York happened. Just get real grass, people. Come on.
And then we had injuries before the season even started, bro. Like Nashville foreshadowed our entire season. Injuries, it was all about losing our entire team to turf.
Exactly. Turf 1, 49ers 0.
Yeah, I think grass should be standard across the league. Like, what's wrong with grass? Like, come on, take care of your grass. It's not
people
hard.
are allergic to grass.
You're a multi-billion-dollar industry. You can have grass, okay? Yeah, this was an interesting fact. It was pointed out, I think, earlier, by you. This is Jay's account, right?
Whose account?
If I'm not mistaken.
Whose
or
account?
maybe
it's
not
Jesse's.
Jesse. Yeah, Jesse Naylor. Yeah, this is him, right? Yeah, so I think he put this out. So yeah, shout out Jesse Naylor. But yeah, the Niners are
Subscribe to Last Second
team.
Sports too. Gotta check that out.
I mean, the league is still kind of young though. I mean, I know they're old. They're a second oldest team, but like the gap between youngest and oldest, I feel like the entire league is kind of. I don't know, maybe I'm reading it wrong because of how big the rosters are, but I mean, the entire league, I feel like it's like a 2-year gap in average from the lowest
Something
and
like
the
that.
highest. I mean,
honestly, like I don't really care about age because this team is still in a position to win a Super Bowl right now. It doesn't matter how old
guys will be gone.
Yeah, exactly. And age, the only thing that age matters for is just getting younger and looking ahead in the future. And soon enough, those guys are going to be old. So in the end, I mean, yeah, I mean, you have if you're an older team, you're gonna have some veteran guys on the team that have been in this league for a while. There's pros and cons to it, really. But overall, I'm not too concerned about the age of this team.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the Jesse's standpoint is a fun fact because like, hey, I didn't know that. But yeah, second oldest team.
Exactly.
But I don't really care. So I think we touched on everything. We did
spent a lot of time on more than everything.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time talking receivers.
Dude, this is the talking Niners, man. This is always one of the best parts of the week. Just rambling about the 49ers stuff. Say whatever you want.
Open night for this.
Always.
We were done around like 40 minutes, and then we spent 20 minutes talking about receivers.
Happens all the time. Live whenever we're live, you guys come in. I know YouTube was down at first, but now obviously it's back up. So yeah, always good to have. Yeah, like and subscribe. As Jesse said, like and subscribe. Subscribe. How about I do the outro this week? If you're listening to this podcast for the first time on Apple Music, make sure to rate and review that. Make sure to download the podcast on Spotify, whatever that is. It really helps us out. Subscribe to Bay Kobe's channel, Bay Kobe. Follow him on Twitter at Bay Kobe. Follow the Talking Niners pod. Oh, Bay Kobe 49 GM, I should say. Follow Talking Niners at Talking Niners pod on Twitter. Follow me at NinerWire Sam on Twitter. Jay, I saw followed me on Instagram. I don't really use Instagram that much. If you want to follow me there, at NinerWire_YT. Make sure to subscribe to NinerWire. I think most of you guys are watching on there, but show Kobe some love. Subscribe to Bay Kobe. Let's get him to 100 subs soon. Let's just do it, man.
Yeah,
but subscribe to NinerWire as well. What?
Yeah, we're at 58 on my channel, so we're getting close.
Let's do it, guys. Get Kobe to 100 subs. Hashtag get Kobe to 100. Let's just do it, man. Subscribe to NinerWire. Did I miss anything? I think that's all good.
Yeah, I think it's all good. Yeah, like Sam said, rate review because it helps. Subscribe to the pod. Subscribe to the channels, like he said. All that good stuff. Follow us you can see on the screen. If you're listening to the podcast, check the thank you, Jesse. I appreciate that. You know what? Real MVP, Jesse Naylor. Sam.
Gotta love it, man. Showing love to my boy.
Gotta love it. Yeah, man. What was I saying? Yeah, if you want to know what our YouTube channel links, our Twitter links, all that good stuff, it's in the description of the show. So you can check the show description. It's going to be in there. If you need to find us, it's in there. I don't know if you can just click on it, but you can copy and paste, put it in your browser, pull up. So yeah, that's going to do it for us. Really appreciate it, and we will see you guys next week. I don't know what we're going to talk about. I have no idea.
We'll figure it out. We play it by ear as
we'll
always.
Figure it out. All right. As always, go Niners.
See ya.